Love can lift you, or it can quietly unravel you. And if you've lived enough, you already know both are true. You've tasted the kind of love that made you feel immortal, and the kind that made you forget your own name. Smart women know the difference. Not because they've read more books or followed more rules, but because somewhere along the way, they lost themselves, and then chose to come back home. You gave everything, didn't you? You twisted yourself into softness, shrank into silence, stretched into patience, all in the name of keeping something that never truly saw you. And when it ended, or when it didn't, but should have, you were left wondering, where did I go? But what if love was never meant to cost you your center? What if the deepest relationships don't require your disappearance, but your awakening? This is not a video about how to get him back. It's not about tactics or tests or temporary highs. This is about emotional sovereignty. This is about becoming the kind of woman who can love with her eyes open and her soul intact. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who studied the soul more than the symptom, understood something most modern advice forgets: that when we love, we're not just entering a relationship with another person. We're walking into a living mirror. A mirror that reflects not just their truth, but our longing, our wounds, our symbols, our story. And smart women? They don't run from that mirror. They study it, they learn from it, and they stay whole inside of it. So if something in you has stirred, if you're ready to love without betrayal of self, stay close. And if you feel seen already, let this be a conversation, not just a video. Like it. Share your thoughts below, and subscribe if you want more of this kind of truth. The kind that doesn't teach you how to get a man, but how to be a woman who never loses herself again. Let's begin. Before we step into the 5 rules, we need to enter the territory that shaped them, the psychological landscape mapped by Carl Jung. Because this isn't just about emotion, it's about psyche, your soul's unfolding journey through love, reflection, and individuation. Let's begin where Jung always did, with the self. Jung believed that your true task in life is to become whole, not perfect, not pleasing, but whole. And this lifelong process of becoming, of integrating all your parts, he called individuation. You are not just the persona you show the world, you are also the shadow you hide, the archetypes you carry, the dreams you barely understand. And in love, all of it rises. A relationship, Jung taught, is not merely an emotional connection, it's a psychological crucible. A container where your unlived life, your wounded stories, and your forgotten strength all begin to surface. When a woman falls in love unconsciously, she risks losing herself to something deeper than desire. She risks psychological fusion, where the we swallows the I. Have you felt that? Where your voice quieted to match his mood? Where your rhythm began to orbit his chaos? Where you stopped asking, "What do I want?" and started asking, "What will keep him?" Fusion feels romantic at first, but it slowly erodes your soul. Because love without boundaries is not intimacy. It's enmeshment. Jung warned that when 2 people merge completely, they don't become one, they become less than whole. They lose the space where transformation lives. That's why individuation matters, not just in solitude, but inside relationship. Because the woman who keeps her center while opening her heart becomes unshakable. Now, let's speak of the shadow. That invisible bag you drag behind you, filled with the parts of yourself you've disowned. Your rage, your hunger, your ambition, your wildness. You don't get rid of these parts, you suppress them and they leak. Especially in love. When your partner forgets a birthday and the anger feels disproportionate. When he speaks to another woman and your chest fills with fire. When he pulls away and your entire nervous system collapses into fear. These aren't just reactions, they're echoes of something older, deeper, more hidden. This is your shadow speaking. Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Smart women don't demonize their triggers. They trace them, back to the original wound, back to the place where a younger version of themselves still waits to be seen. And then, there's projection. You weren't just in love, you were in projection. That intensity you felt, the sense of fate, of instant connection, it wasn't always him. It was you, seeing parts of yourself in his mirror, the confidence you crave, the strength you suppress, the warmth you long for. You project it onto him. You fall for the illusion of wholeness, forgetting that it's your own missing pieces you're chasing. Jung taught that projection is not a mistake. It's a clue. It shows you what you've forgotten you are. But here's the danger. When the projection fades, and it always does, you're left wondering, was I wrong about him? No, you were just seeing your own brilliance reflected in someone too small to hold it. And yet we cling. Why? Because of the anima and animus. Jung believed every woman carries an inner masculine, the animus, just as every man carries an inner feminine, the anima. When a woman hasn't fully met her inner masculine, her focus, her fire, her inner protector, she will unconsciously seek it in men. She won't just fall in love. She will defer to his plans, to his presence, to his power. Not because he earned it, but because she believes he holds something she doesn't yet own. And so, the more independent she becomes outwardly, the more disempowered she may feel inwardly in love. It's not her fault. It's the animus, unintegrated. Smart women learn to meet their inner masculine, to claim their voice, to know that protection can come from within, not just from without. Because when she owns her animus, she no longer needs to chase it in a man. She can choose love, not need it. And that choice is powerful. So as we stand here, on this symbolic threshold between the self and the other, understand this. Love is not just emotion. It is alchemy. It will expose your shadow, magnify your projections, test your boundaries, and call forward the archetypes you've kept asleep. But if you remain awake, if you see with the eyes of psyche, not just sentiment, then love will not be your undoing. It will be your becoming. Because the mirror of relationship, when seen clearly, doesn't just show you him. It shows you you. And now with this understanding, with soul in your eyes and shadow at your side, you're ready. Let's step into the 5 sacred rules that smart women follow when they love, and why those rules aren't about holding on to a man, but about never letting go of yourself. Rule 1. Love without disappearing. The meeting of 2 personalities is like the contact of 2 chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Carl Jung. You can love deeply without vanishing. That's the first rule smart women learn, sometimes the hard way. Because somewhere, long ago, love was whispered to you as sacrifice. Maybe it was modeled. Maybe it was mythologized. But the message was clear. To love well, you had to become smaller, softer, more flexible than your truth. You learned to orbit, to rearrange your life around his availability, to dim your voice to preserve the peace, to pour your time, attention, and brilliance into him, while your own inner garden withered. This isn't devotion, it's fusion. And Jung warned us of this danger. When the boundaries between I and we dissolve too completely, neither soul remains distinct enough to grow. He called this the death of individuation inside love. The place where women especially forget that they are not just lovers, they are whole human beings. See, individuation isn't selfish. It's sacred, because when you stay rooted in your identity while loving someone, you offer something far more rare than unconditional affection. You offer presence without possession, closeness without collapse, intimacy without erasure. That's what makes it magnetic. Again and again, the same phrase rises through tears in the quiet aftermath of heartbreak. I don't know who I became in that relationship. I just know it wasn't me. Smart women learn to catch themselves earlier. They sense when the pull of love starts to distort the shape of their lives. They recognize when a man's approval becomes the currency of their self-worth. They remember that even as they open their hearts, they must never evict themselves from the home of their own body, their own mind. This isn't about being guarded. It's about being anchored. A woman who remains herself while loving someone else is not less romantic. She is rare, and more than anything, she becomes trustworthy. Not to him, but to herself, because she knows, if I give everything away, I'll have nothing left to come home to. So she loves while still being a woman who writes, who roars, who wanders, who rests, and when that love ends, if it must, she does not shatter. She remembers who she is, because she never forgot. If this is stirring something in you, a quiet remembering, don't just keep it inside. Let it be part of something deeper. Like this video, share your reflections below, and subscribe if you want to stay close to this kind of depth, not surface advice but soul-aligned truth. Rule 2. See the projection before you call it love. We do not see others as they are, but as we are. with all our hopes, wounds, and unmet parts. Paraphrasing Jung, you weren't just in love, you were in projection. We all begin there. That intoxication, that heat, that "I've never felt this before" sensation, it rarely begins with who he actually is. It begins with the image he awakens in you. In Jungian psychology, projection is the unconscious act of casting your disowned qualities, both beautiful and broken, onto someone else. You meet a man who speaks with quiet strength, and suddenly you feel safe. You see a man who leads with confidence, and suddenly you feel alive. But what you're responding to isn't always him. It's the part of you that has longed for that quality and sees it reflected in his form. You think, "He's everything I've ever needed." But the psyche is more subtle than that. What you're often saying is, "He's holding a part of me I haven't yet owned." This is the dance of projection. And it is not foolish, it is archetypal. But what makes a woman smart in love is her ability to see it. She notices when the image is too perfect, when the connection feels faded, blinding, almost mythic. She pauses, she breathes, she asks, "Is this love, or am I loving the version of me I see in him?" See, this is the root of many romantic spirals. We idolize him until we realize he cannot hold the God we made of him. Then we blame him for falling short of a fantasy he never agreed to fulfill. And this isn't about naivety, it's about misplaced wholeness. Because the confident man you idealize might be reflecting your own dormant strength. The emotionally expressive man you crave might mirror the vulnerability you've buried. The deeply spiritual man you ache for might point you toward your own forgotten soul. Smart women don't punish themselves for projecting. They study it. They ask, what does my attraction reveal about the part of me I've been neglecting? What in him feels irresistible? And why don't I believe I carry that too? They do the hard thing. They pull back the projection and meet the real man. Not the fantasy, not the icon, the flawed, human, beautiful, disappointing man. And from that moment on, the relationship changes. It becomes less about completion, more about clarity. It's not about whether he lives up to your image. It's about whether he can stand beside you, real to real, soul to soul, without needing to be anything more or less than himself. And you? You become a woman who no longer needs a mirror to remember what she looks like. Because you've gone within and reclaimed the pieces you once placed in someone else's hands. These are just the first two rules. And already you may be feeling something shift inside. Not just a new way to love, but a new way to be. Because the journey ahead isn't about rules at all. It's about remembering yourself in every stage of love. So stay close. We'll step into Rule 3, the one most women avoid, but the one that sets them free. Embrace the shadow. And in that shadow, you might just find your power. Rule 3, embrace the shadow, or it will choose your lovers for you. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. There is a place within you that has never been fully seen, a place where old anger sleeps beneath politeness, where your hunger whispers through silence, where a younger you, abandoned, unmet, still aching, waits to be remembered. This is your shadow, and in love it never stays hidden for long. You think you're choosing him because he's confident, but maybe he just triggers your forgotten longing to speak without fear. You think you're afraid of losing him, but maybe your terror is older than him. A story inherited, a wound repeated, a child within you who still wonders if she's worth staying for. The shadow is not evil. It's not something to fix. It's simply unacknowledged. It is the part of your psyche you've been told is too much, too angry, too needy, too wild, too ambitious, too sensitive. So you tucked it away. And love? Love is the great key. It unlocks that room. And suddenly, you find yourself overreacting, crying more than the moment calls for, panicking when he pulls away, resenting him for something small because something large beneath it has gone untouched. Smart women don't shame themselves for their triggers. They trace them. They know the emotional earthquake has its epicenter somewhere deeper, because no man can make you feel unworthy unless a part of you already fears you are. That doesn't excuse cruelty, but it does return your power. The shadow isn't only wounds, it's also power you've hidden. The fire you admired in another woman, but denied in yourself. The sexual confidence you saw as too much. The leadership you dimmed to keep the peace. What you judge in others is often what you've exiled in you. So you meet a man. He's bold, passionate unapologetically himself. You're drawn and then enraged. Why? Because he's living a truth your shadow still holds hostage. Jung taught that when we integrate the shadow, we stop needing others to carry it for us. You stop falling for emotionally unavailable men. When you face the part of you that believes you're not safe being fully seen. You stop attracting chaos when you finally stop creating it with it. And yes, this work is hard. It's humbling. It asks you to sit with old ghosts, to tell yourself the truth, to stop making your pain someone else's responsibility. But the reward is sovereignty. You become a woman who no longer begs for someone to fix what they didn't break. You hold yourself. You know the difference between reaction and reality. You see conflict not as punishment, but as invitation. Invitation to heal, to integrate, to evolve. Because once the shadow is met, it becomes your ally. Your intuition sharpens, your choices shift, and you stop mistaking the past for destiny. You become, finally, a whole woman choosing love, not a half-wounded girl trying to be chosen. Rule 4. Choose the partner who challenges you, not just the one who soothes you. The right partner isn't the one who keeps you comfortable, it's the one who calls you to grow. There's a kind of love that feels like a warm bath, comforting, undemanding, familiar. But there's another kind, the one that stirs the soul, that asks questions you haven't yet dared to answer, that doesn't coddle your ego, but instead reflects your potential. Most people run from that one, because it's easier to stay in the story where you are enough, just as you are, even if part of you knows you've stopped evolving inside that comfort. Jung knew that every meaningful relationship is an alchemical vessel, a space where both people are transformed. But transformation isn't always gentle. It asks something of you. And most of us are unconsciously drawn to partners who either validate our stagnation or ignite our growth. The partner who keeps you in a fantasy, who flatters but never challenges, might feel safe. But watch how slowly you start shrinking. You lose your edges. Your clarity softens into confusion. You feel adored, but not truly seen. Then there's the partner who triggers something deeper. He notices your pattern. He names your avoidance. He doesn't let you stay small. That man may not feel easy, but he becomes essential. Not because he fixes you, but because he reflects a more integrated version of you and challenges you to meet it. This is the paradox. The man who challenges you when it's conscious, respectful, mutual, isn't threatening you. He's mirroring the growth you secretly crave. I've watched women with great potential cling to men who adored them, but never called them higher. And I've seen the quiet awe on their faces when they finally met a partner who did. Because real love isn't found only in chemistry, it's found in evolution. The partner who challenges you will sometimes frustrate you, not because he's careless, but because he sees through your defenses. He holds a mirror that asks, is this who you truly are, or just who you learned to be? He won't let your trauma run the show. He'll ask to meet the version of you that trauma once buried. And you'll know it's real when you feel both seen and stretched. When the connection humbles you, but never belittles you. This isn't about seeking pain, it's about seeking growth. And growth always includes discomfort. So ask yourself, does this love leave me the same, or invite me deeper? Smart women don't choose only ease, they choose depth. Not because it's romantic, but because it's real. And when a man can challenge you without trying to control you, when he can witness your transformation without needing to manage it, you've found something rare. Not a man to complete you, but a partner who respects your becoming. You've walked now through 4 rules, and with each one, something has been remembered. Your power, your projection, your shadow, your sovereignty. And now, the final rule awaits, the one that binds them all. Love is a path to wholeness. Rule 5. Let love be a path to wholeness, not a substitute for it. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. There comes a moment, after the unraveling, after the projection fades, after the shadow speaks, when a woman looks in the mirror and asks, was I ever actually in love with him, or was I trying to meet the missing parts of me? This is the turning point, where love no longer becomes something you fall into, but something you rise through. You see, our culture tells women that the goal of love is completion, to find the one, the missing half, the soulmate, the savior. But Jung said, you were never missing to begin with. The journey is not about fusion, it's about integration. Two whole people, side by side, choosing, not clinging. You do not need a man to make you whole. You need a man who reminds you that you already are. Because when a woman forgets her wholeness, she turns love into a transaction. She gives to be kept, she performs to be chosen, she silences to stay safe. But when a woman remembers that she is already complete, not flawless but whole, she becomes magnetic in the truest sense. Not because she's unattached, but because she's uncompromised. Her love is generous, but not desperate. Her presence is soft, but not hollow. She can say yes from fullness and no without fear. Jung believed that real relationship begins only when two individuals stand side by side, not tangled in need, but anchored in sovereignty. From this place, love is not a rescue. It's a mirror, one that reflects back the beauty of your integration and the parts of you still waiting to be seen. He becomes not your hero, but your companion in the great remembering of self. You're no longer searching for someone to complete you. You're sharing the journey with someone who celebrates your depth and tends to his own. Because here's the quiet truth. The most sacred love is not when someone fills your emptiness, it's when they stand with you and say, I see you, whole, flawed, and still becoming, and I'm not afraid. That kind of love doesn't chain you to a role, it gives you room to evolve. It doesn't ask you to shrink to fit, it expands with you. It becomes not the destination, but the sacred soil where both of you grow taller. So if you ever wonder what kind of love to wait for the love that doesn't ask you to forget yourself. Wait for the love that feels like a mirror, not a mask. Like a blessing, not a burden. Wait for the love that knows you are already whole, and I am here to walk beside you, not carry you, not fix you, but witness you and grow with you. That is not fantasy. That is possible. But only when you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing yourself. You've heard the 5 rules now. Not rules to follow like a script, but truths to carry like a compass. Let's remember them. Not with logic, but with presence. 1. Stay anchored in your identity, even as you open your heart. 2. Recognize your projections before you crown them as destiny. 3. Embrace your shadow so it doesn't sabotage your love from the dark. 4. Choose the partner who invites your growth, not just your comfort. 5. Let love become the sacred path toward your wholeness, not a replacement for it. These aren't strategies, they're soul markers, each one bringing you back to yourself. Because in the end, he wasn't just responding to your smile, your softness, or your silence. He was responding to the part of himself he saw reflected in you. And when you finally see that, you stop begging for love, you start becoming it. So to the woman watching this, the one who's loved deeply, maybe too deeply, the one who's been burned and buried and still dares to believe in something more, let me say this: you were never too much. You were just in the wrong mirror. The right man will not be afraid of your fullness. He will not ask you to shrink. He will not flinch when you speak from your shadow. He will meet you, not in fantasy, but in truth, because you will have already met yourself. And that is the love story that lasts. The story of a woman who doesn't just fall in love, she awakens it. In herself, in him, and in every space she walks into. If this journey touched something in you, don't let it stay silent. Like this video if it helped you remember. Share your reflection in the comments. It may be the mirror someone else needs. And subscribe if you want to keep walking this path. Not towards someone else, but back to yourself. This is where love begins, and this is where it becomes sacred.